So my talk today is on the global pandemic. I'm sure you all heard about the swine flu, or H1N1 as it's called. My talk is not as structured or systematic as what Kim put forward. He's got a great framework, all right? But I hope to bring forward maybe a few lessons that echo, a lot of what Kim just mentioned. So I come from this organization, which is the Center for Health Protection. It was born because of SARS, okay? We had a terrible outbreak in 2003. So the government set up a Center for Health Protection. Just that if a new epidemic comes along, then Hong Kong people will be protected. So we are under a lot of public expectations. And when the swine flu comes along, I remember when it was April, when it first broke out in Mexico, I gathered my key staff and I told them, this is the day okay, that you're meant for. Okay? This is what we're about. And at the same time, I'm fully aware of the consequences. We went to a select committee after SARS because of a lot of mishandling issues and so on. So I'm prepared to go to another select committee when the first case came to Hong Kong. And I even got my resignation letter typed. But anyways, I hope I never need to use it. Okay, just a brief word about what a pandemic is about. Now, think SARS magnified by 10 times. Okay. At its worst form, it is one of the most serious public health crises. Okay? During 1918, the pandemic at that time killed more than 20 million people, right? More than the First World War and the Second World War combined. And that also means large number of people getting ill in a short time, and many with serious disease. The hospitals became flooded, and then remember SARS that time, societal functions were disrupted. Nobody goes to a restaurant anymore. We have empty airports and no one doing the usual economic activities. So this is not just a public health issue, it is a big societal issue. And so that's why we're so concerned about it. Now, in terms of crisis management, I think this scenario has some unique features. All right. Now, first of all, it is not like a financial crisis or an education crisis or a midlife crisis for that matter. It's about a life and death situation, okay? And it's urgent. We're talking about you have to handle the crisis within hours. The first case came to Hong Kong. How are you going to respond? Right? You can't wait for days, okay? So the crisis really is urgent and you've got to do something about it in a short time. However, it is also sustained. Look, we had the first case in May, and we're still very busy at this time. And we're expecting the next big wave to come in winter. All right, so it is a war that we are against, not just a battle. Okay, so on the horizon, you have to push a little bit further. And you're not talking about one single crisis, but a series of crises following one another. Another thing is it's rather complicated because of all these medical jargons, the virus, the genes, all right, all these illnesses and so on. And it's also full of uncertainty. Even experts, medical experts, argue, how to deal with it in the best way, right? So it's kind of difficult to tell the public what this is all about and assure that this is the right thing to do. Okay. And of course, invoking infectious diseases like SARS, automatically there's public fear, anxiety, and so on. And finally, of course, all civil servants face intense media scrutiny. Now, as Kim just mentioned, you've got to have a plan beforehand, all right? So this is the plan that we have since 2004. It is about a pandemic preparedness plan. What happens when the pandemic comes to Hong Kong? How are we going to act and respond? And these are some of the headings in this plan, which I think are pretty universal. You'll probably find command, coordination, communication, the specific response, scenario planning, the stakeholder management. These are key features, key ingredients in any contingency or crisis plans. And of course, there are big advantages about having such a plan, all right? Now, first of all, you have top-level agreement and engagement already secured, okay? In our pandemic plan, we specified when we have a pandemic, the chief executive himself will chair the steering committee to look out for things, to be in command and control, all right? So right at the outset, you already have your top level engagement, which is crucially important, I think, for all these crisis plans. And of course, by sending out exactly what each department, what each bureau has to do during the crisis, so you hope that relevant parties will know about the role and how they respond and communicate. Okay? That's pretty clear. Another way to use these plans is to secure the necessary resources. For example, our plan stipulates that we've got to buy enough medicines for the pandemic. Okay? So that gives us strong justifications to get past Financial Bureau and the rest to secure the necessary funding, which is like 20 million, actually $200 million. And finally, this plan will also allow you to communicate with stakeholders and manage their expectations. Again, this is actually very important. By having a plan published, all right, the public, the media, even all the experts know what you're going to do during a crisis. All right. So when the crisis comes, you act accordingly, then they cannot say that you're making a bad move or a bad decision, okay? Because it's already out there for years. So anyone who wants to criticize should have done so. So I think that is a very important use of having a crisis plan in place. Now, in designing a crisis plan, I think these three points are relevant. First of all, crucial thing is to set up structures for decision making during a crisis. When a crisis comes, it's a very dynamic situation. It changes every hour, all right? So whatever there is not in the plan, you've got to have a structure that provides the key decisions. So I think this kind of structure is crucial during a crisis situation. It's best to write it down in the plan. And in any crisis plan, you've got to build in surge capacity and deputizing arrangements and so on. Imagine a crisis comes along, then everyone's so busy, okay? You have 4 meetings every day. How are you going to take care of matters, all right? You've got to have some surge capacity with you. In our case, we mobilize the auxiliary medical services, we mobilize the private medical doctors to help us out, okay? So I think that is also an important part of the plan. And of course, the deputizing arrangements, how about when you got sick? Okay? Remember in SARS, we've got a key health officials getting sick, and that put us into some trouble. So that is also something to think about. And finally, it's not good enough just having a plan, okay? And you've got to update it often, all right? Even the names of the bureau may have changed. Our bureau used to be the Welfare, Food and Health Bureau, all right? But now welfare is taken out of our hands. So even our name has changed, okay? And you can imagine, all these contact persons, might have left already, retired or moved to other departments. The contact numbers have changed, the names have changed. You give him a call, he has no idea what he's going to do in the plan, okay? So these kind of updating is necessary. And of course, the best way to do it is through regular drills and exercise.